Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
Yay! Hey, Tom.
Hello.
How you doing up there?
I'm doing great.
So we talked about sex last week, and I just asked Tom because I realized how little he spoke. If he was wildly uncomfortable with sex. Glad to know you're not.
I'm not
Tom.
uncomfortable. Y'all were carrying the team. I didn't want to interrupt the streak.
Or were you just thinking about your daughter?
Well, I mean, when you were talking about condoms, I did, and some of the emotional ups and downs for young people that are having sex. Yeah, that the next 10 years before that starts happening, I hope goes really slow, but I know it won't.
You're so for those of you who don't know Tom is a really tall man.
Yes.
And he is very strong. And
he would scare young boy.
Anybody that knocks on that door, because Betty is cute as she can be. So you're going to always be the one to answer
just
the door.
Just be home, Tom. That's your remedy.
I hear you.
Just be home.
He can't just honk and have her send her out.
No.
Do not let her Uber there.
I remember one time when Kurt went to the door with a shotgun.
Oh, no way.
He did.
Oh, that is
He
hilarious.
was like, I'm not going to let these boys take it. He would just stand and say, look at him, just staring at the girls by the swimming pool. It was just so hard. It was so hard for him.
One of my boyfriends, he was like probably my only real boyfriend in high school. Senior year, he was 6'7". And he came to the door, and my dad was 5'10" on a good day, is 5'10" on a good day, and oh my gosh, it was the funniest thing. I'm like, good luck here, Dad.
Well, did you come up to his waist?
Yeah, I mean he was very tall.
That is very tall,
very handsome, tall young man. Yep.
Do you talk to him?
No. That ship has sailed, Janice.
I don't know, just curious.
No, now I got my eyes on Craig.
Yeah, you're pretty all Googled up with Craig.
I am all Googled up with Craig. He's so cute. Okay, we need to thank our sponsor for today. Gosh, I forgot. Hold on, let me look. Oh, Libby Hunt. Do you know Libby Hunt?
I do know Libby Hunt.
Yeah,
yes, that's
she
so
is
nice.
Our
Thank
sponsor
you
this week, and she is a faithful listener, and I really appreciate her. She's always very positive too, which I really appreciate. Okay, so today the remedy is 5 honest dating truth bombs.
And I am so sorry that we didn't do this before I finished that stinking book, but I'm not going to add to it. I can tell you that.
I bet you everything we talk about today is somewhere nestled.
I hope so.
Nestled. Speaking of your book,
yes,
you can get it on Amazon.
Yes.
You and Tom just finished recording it, so it should be up as a what do you call it?
Audible.
Audio book.
That should be coming up on Audible and also Amazon pretty soon. We got it all turned in, so yeah, you get this Lubbock. You'll be so sick of me if you listen to my Lubbock reading the book.
I actually want to listen. I don't listen to books, but I do want to listen to yours. I think that's cool that you guys did that. You and Tom did that.
It was really fun.
It's awesome.
It was really fun.
And your book is available right now on Amazon.
Yes, the book is available for sure.
It is called Prince Charming is either dead or in rehab.
Prince Charming is dead or in rehab.
Because he doesn't exist.
Or he's just high as hell in rehab.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Or that. Okay, so speaking of dating, today we're going to talk about 5 honest dating truth bombs. I think this is going to be a fun one.
I do too. I'm really curious about it.
Especially all the, I mean, being divorced, I know, Tom, you were a little bit older when you got married, right?
Yes, I got married when I was 37.
So you had your fair share of shenanigans.
Yeah, I'm very glad that I was in bands, for like from age 20 till about 40. Mm-hmm. And so I needed to get a lot of playing out of my system for a marriage.
Okay, I'm going my mind. Okay, that's our topic.
And I'm
for
not
today.
talking about my drums. Let's put it that way.
This is our subject today. Yeah. Tom's life. We're gonna have full exposure.
Well, I mean, basically, yes. So that's basic. Yes, I got a late start, and I'm glad because
you got your shenanigans out of the way.
The marriage needed it, but also raising Betty needed it.
Yeah, for sure.
I imagine that has had an impact one way or the other.
Yes, indeed.
And then Janice, how old were you when you were married to Kurt? How old were you? You were young, weren't you?
Yeah, I was young. We got married in December of 1974.
Okay.
And so I graduated from college a semester early. So I was probably 22, 21, something, 22. Yeah, I was really young.
So, I mean, you dated other people, but I think probably most of your dating experience was after your divorce.
Well, yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm. Because Kurt and I dated in high school.
Mm. And you never broke up?
We broke up for a minute, but I didn't really date other people. Okay. So really, he was the main person that I dated. Mm-hmm. There was a guy from Levelland that I dated a little bit.
Okay.
So.
But not a whole lot of dating history.
Not
young. And so most of your dating experience was after your divorce?
Yes.
The 10 years that you were single before you married Tom?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I didn't get married till I was 28, and I dated a lot. Mm-hmm. I wasn't one of those people that always had a real serious. I just dated a lot, and I had a ton of fun. But I dated a guy a couple of years in San Francisco, and then pretty much Topher. But Topher and I knew each other since we were 14 years old.
That's so crazy.
So, and we had dated a little bit in high school. But we were never super serious until I went to college, and we stayed in touch that whole time. So, but a significant part of my dating experience was after my divorce too.
Yeah.
I've been single 8 years now. That's a long time. But Craig and I have been dating half of that.
Yeah.
But 4 years of dating around.
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
It is so weird.
I would hate to go back to it.
Oh, yes, you would.
You would. You really would.
It's such motivation to figure your shit out as a married human.
It really is.
Because that dating, and especially being in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and dating.
Somebody should write a book about this.
Oh, I'm sure. That's hilarious.
Well, it just so happens.
That's hilarious. Well, and the way that I stubbed my toe out of the chute.
Yeah.
After I got divorced and started dating, I was so bad at dating.
It's hard.
It's so, and now you got now there's a whole texting situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is just a whole new dating world. And so it's complicated.
I tell you what, if something happened to Tom.
You've said this 1,000 times. You would never date again.
Never, ever date again. Ever. I would be just fine.
Well,
I would miss Tom
hugely,
but I would have no interest in, dipping in that pot again.
Sometimes I'm sure you do the same. Sometimes I just stare at Craig with such gratitude that I have him and that I found him and that all of that is over.
I know.
I never want to go back.
No.
I never want to go on another first date again as long as I live. No. And I can't say I would never date again if something happened to Craig. But I get
wouldn't.
nauseous thinking about
I would just hang out with my grandkids.
I need a couple of those, and then maybe because my kids are just so in their own world. Like they don't.
Yeah,
they like me, but they don't really need me. But as soon as they have kids, they're going to need me again.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay, so let's read what some of these things are. 5 honest dating truth bombs. You want to go for number 1?
Sure. The signs you ignore in the beginning just end up being the reason you leave later. You know right away who's good and who's bad for you. Don't ignore that.
So, which begs the question, why do we ignore it?
Because you're wanting
you don't want
it
to be
to
alone?
You don't want to be alone, and you want it to be different. I dated a guy, and I do talk about this in my book. I dated a guy, and he had been married 3 times. Mm-hmm. And I dated him and thought that it could be the thing, the right thing, the jackpot and all of that. And I would have been Senora Quattro. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a red flag. Mm-hmm. He had been married 3 times, mm-hmm. and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So, and that was, he broke up with me by putting a note in my mailbox on Christmas Eve.
Oh, my God.
I know.
I'm so embarrassed for that guy, and I hope he's listening, because you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, really.
Let's expose him. Let's say
still
his
better
name.
than a text.
Is it?
Well, we weren't texting then.
I know. I mean, it's like he drove all the way over there. It's like way better than a text.
It really wasn't very far. He lived really close.
It really wasn't very far. That's pitiful.
I know.
Indeed.
But really, that should have been a really big clue for me. Mm-hmm. That unless the guy had done a whole lot of work on himself, that, being married 3 times and it not working is there's some stuff going on somewhere,
There was a guy I dated, and he was so fun, and he was great, and da-da-da. But he had a temper. And
excuse me,
you just choked on yourself. And I'd hear him kind of lose it with people at work, and then I'd hear him, da-da-da. And then one time we were on a walk, and it happened to me. That temper came out on me.
While you were just like on a walk?
We were just on a walk, and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out. But I had been ignored because it hadn't happened to me. Uh-huh. And I thought, it won't happen to me. I dated another guy who drank too much.
Yeah.
And I saw it the whole time we dated.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm out. What am I doing? But it's like, you kind of get in that phase. What do you think? Like, you're going to be the one to change him?
Or maybe this is just one incident, or that, he's probably been under a lot of pressure at work. You make excuses
stressful time.
For it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You cannot ignore those red flags.
Well, this guy had a jet. And so that clouded my brain.
That forgave many a sin.
Kind of, for a while.
I don't know. Let's just get on your plane and drive around, fly around tonight. I'll forget all about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yes, do not ignore the red flags.
Yeah, it's so true.
So true. Okay, next one. Your pain has its own intelligence. It is going to attract a partner who embodies the things you need to heal the most.
Oh, interesting.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
And I could not be a bigger testimony to this than, I'm the poster child for this.
Because
my father is an avoidant human.
Uh-huh.
And so every guy that I like has an avoidant nature because I am trying to resolve that.
Well, or it is just your normal. So you're not used to that.
But it's not what I like.
I know, but you didn't probably even know you didn't like it.
Yeah, because you know what? People who are nice to me and like me, they smother me. I feel
That's called avoidant.
Yeah, I know.
We'll work on that.
And I kind of don't trust him.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe. And so if you avoid me a little bit, or if you're not totally into me, then I like you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I am the poster child for that.
Well, it says Connor Beaton, but we should put Tova Sido in there.
Now, Craig is definitely more avoidant than me.
Uh-huh.
But I think that he is a good balance. I think that we are a good balance for one another.
Well, I think if Craig were just all over you, you wouldn't do it. You would run for the hill.
I would.
Because that avoidant, when you have some of that history, it's just not your normal, so it seems weird or something.
Mm-hmm. Like I have friends who are in relationships where their husband is like super lovey-dovey, like, oh, look how beautiful she is. Oh, da, da, da. Isn't she just the best? Da, da, da. And I'm like, I look at them like, please stop talking to me. Exactly. Tom, thank you for the sound effects.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, bullshit. I think they're full of shit. I mean, and maybe they're not.
Well, they might have learned that their father might have done that. Yeah. And maybe he thinks that's the way that you're supposed to do it or something. But it would be uncomfortable for me, too.
Would it?
Yes.
Do you tend to gravitate toward a little bit more avoidant?
Well, I did when I very first started dating. Mm-hmm. But when Tom and I started dating, I really liked him. Mm-hmm. And he had been divorced the same amount of time that I'd been divorced. Mm. So we were just kind of in the same spot. Mm-hmm. And I didn't ever really want to run from him. Mm-hmm. But he was very kind to me and very considerate. Didn't,
not
talk
to
other women, no games whatsoever, but was not ooey gooey,
Exactly,
so it
Craig.
was perfect for me.
Yes.
Yes.
That's exactly how I would describe Craig.
Yeah.
He didn't oogie googie all over me, but he made me feel so great and special and it was easy.
Yeah. And the thing that what's so great about that, when you finally outgrow your pain, then you're ready for something like Craig or like Tom, and then it feels so natural. I mean, Tom is every bit as consistent as he has been from the day I met him. And so it's just so calming.
It sure is.
There's nothing hard about it.
No. And Tom, I think something about Craig and Tom that they also share is they're both so confident and secure in themselves that that's so attractive.
They're not trying to be somebody that they're not. Yeah.
I love that.
Me too.
Okay, you read the next one.
So many people desire to be in real relationships, but cannot be in a relationship with themselves. You cannot give what you don't have, and you cannot receive what you aren't ready for.
Well, you just said that, which is amazing.
It is, isn't it?
So what does being in a relationship, I know you feel strongly about this, but I want to, for yourself, I want to know, what does it look like to be in a relationship? What does it look like for Janice to be in a relationship with Janice?
Well, it is, I can be honest with myself. I like myself probably better than I like anybody else in the whole world. And I am happy with myself. I can
be by
me.
yourself?
I can totally be by myself. I know what I want. I know what I like. I know what people I like and want to hang around with, and how easy it is for me to love myself because of the people in my world that I love so much that reflect it back to me. And that's really different for me. I mean, I think that when I was in high school and started dating And when Kurt and I were dating, I didn't know myself. I acted as if I thought I needed to be a certain way. And I think part of the time I wasn't probably real honest with him about me. And so that's a big difference for me.
I think it's one of the most attractive things about you is how confident you are with you and how secure you feel with you and how easy it is for you to love you.
Yeah.
I think it's an example that you've set for me for a long time.
Oh, good. That's so nice. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, it's true. And you've taught me how to do that. I mean, I think I told y'all this, but when I worked at the church, I had 2 guys that worked for me and who were kind of my direct reports, and then people reported to them. But they sat me down at some point and they were like, "You're really annoying to work for." And I was like, "What?" I mean, I thought I was a great boss. And they're like, we don't know what you're running from, but you run from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. Like you're always late. You miss deadlines. You overschedule. You overcommit. You underdeliver. And you overcommit us. And it's really annoying.
Oh my gosh.
And I loved these
So
two.
then did you say they're exactly right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I
Because you're not like that now.
at all.
No.
At all. But I think about that conversation sometimes, and I think about how unhappy I was with me. And I was just, I had a crazy schedule. I did. Everything they said about me was exactly right.
Well, and when I was in high school, I look back on that and think I literally ran for cheerleader my entire life.
So did I.
I wanted you to vote for me. I needed you to vote for me. I needed you to like me.
Yep.
I needed to get those awards.
Yep.
And I finally outgrew that. And I think one of the most important ways that we can develop a real relationship with ourselves is to say yes when we want to say yes and no when we want to say no.
Absolutely.
I just said yes to everybody and everything.
I did too.
Because I thought you were supposed to, because that's nice.
Yes. And that's and we were supposed to be nice because we were Christian girls and we needed to make everybody else happy.
Yeah. And I learned that I just need to be kind. So which means I can say no. I just can't say no, asshole.
Right. No effing way.
Yeah. And that makes all the difference in the world. Because if we don't have our own back, nobody's going to do it for us.
Nobody.
And we will be like a kite in the wind going this way and that.
Yep. Absolutely. And now because of the work that I did with you and the things that I've learned and the ways that I've grown, but it took work.
Yeah,
it really takes work to take the time to I didn't even know what I liked.
Me neither.
I didn't even know. I didn't either. And I think there's a lot of people, especially women, who don't even know.
I agree.
And if you can't be by yourself and you can't love yourself, then that is something I encourage you to get help with stat.
Yes. It will change your world.
It'll change your life.
Yeah.
And when you start living your life, the one you want to live, that's freedom.
It's total freedom.
That is total. I don't do one thing I don't want to do.
I don't either.
I know you don't.
I pay my taxes.
Yeah,
but
I did that today.
I want to do that because I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah, totally.
But I agree with you, Tova. I mean, it's the graves. It's not what do you need me or want me to do, but what's going to work for me.
Yeah. And I know you don't either. I don't spend time with one person I don't want to spend time with.
Me neither.
I do not engage in any activities. I would never sit on a board. I would never sponsor anything. I don't give money to anything that I don't want to.
That's right.
I'm just, those days are over.
Yeah, I
Thank
know.
God.
Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. I mean, really. That because when you are living for other people all the time, you are in bondage. I didn't have any idea what was me. I really didn't.
Me neither.
Crazy.
And we do now.
We sure do.
Okay. This one says, relationships are worth fighting for, but you can't be the only one fighting.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, that is a really important thing to face.
Very important.
When I was married and my marriage was in trouble, I remember, this really stands out for me. I remember looking at my nightstand and Topher's nightstand. My nightstand had about 10 self-help books. I was reading all of them at the same time. Topher's had a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. That's what was on his side table. And I looked at that thing one day and I'm like, what the actual fuck am I doing? I was the one in counseling. I was the one coming to you. I was the one reading all the books. I was the one trying to put Humpty back together. I was the only one fighting. Not in the relationship, fighting for the relationship.
No, and this is vitally important.
Vitally.
If somebody is not willing to fight for you, it's not going to work. You won't be happy.
No. Why would you want to be with somebody who wouldn't fight for you?
I know.
That's like the worst feeling in the world.
I know.
Or fight for your relationship.
Yeah.
I would do anything for Craig, and I would do anything for our relationship to make it better. If we were suffering in some way, I'd 911 you, and we would get help.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't ever want to lose him. You would do the same.
I would totally do the same.
Like, let's fix this.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Finish this up.
Okay. Red flags are hard to spot when red flags are extensions of what feels familiar.
Mic
Oh,
drop.
my. I'm going to read that one more time. Yes. Red flags are hard to spot when red flags are extensions of what feels familiar.
Ouch.
I know. Doing the same thing over again and expecting different results is called insanity.
Or growing up in a home where you watched your dad get drunk every night and then you go and date a drunk. And all of that repetitive, unhealthy behavior you put up with, not because you should, but because it is familiar.
And you have a tolerance for it.
Totally. It's like you going into your therapist that day and talking about how you're kind of bored with Tom. And your therapist stuck it to you. He was like, you're not bored. It's the absence of chaos, which is what you're used to.
That's exactly what he said to me. I said, I like Tom. We hadn't been dating real long. And I said, I like Tom a lot. But sometimes it's a little boring. And he goes, Janice, that is not boredom. That is the absence of chaos. And I was like, oh my gosh, you are exactly right. There was no fighting. There was nobody calling me names.
There was no drama. There wasn't late alcohol nights.
No.
It's just kind of boring. You know what? I've said to Craig 1,000 times, sometimes do you feel a little bored with me? Because I feel like we're a little boring, but I love how simple.
I think that what's interesting about that is it wasn't as much as it was boring. It was just unpredictable. You just wasn't, what I was so used to.
You were used to chaos.
I was used to chaos. Sometimes fun, crazy chaos, but chaos. And Tom was consistent and honest from the get-go.
And there's no chaos in that.
No, and I'm so grateful about that.
But that is just a profound, and you know what? One of the best sermons that I ever heard was on being a generation breaker.
Oh.
Like you grew up with this, and so this seems and feels normal. And yet it's not normal. And so really recognizing the unhealthiness that might be right in front of you, and don't do it just because you've always done it.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, don't do it again.
Don't do it again. Yeah. I mean, that's why second marriages, what is it, 75%, 78% of second marriages end in divorce? Why? Because you probably did the same damn thing a second time. You just probably didn't put up with it as long as you didn't have children with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just divorced them.
Yeah.
So learn from your mistakes. God, boy, do we have. You know, even though I know that you and I both feel like, on paper, we could easily blame our ex-husbands for the demise of our marriage. One thing that I really appreciate about getting divorced is you and I both took it as an opportunity to look at our side of the street.
Yeah, and let me tell you, my side of the street was messy. You know, I mean, it takes two.
It does take two.
Yeah,
and you could blame Kurt all day for the demise of your marriage. I could blame, but I didn't want to do that for myself, for my children, for my future. I don't want to carry that around. But I loved the opportunity that divorce has given me to look at me.
Yeah, me too. It forced me to look at me. And I'm like you. I'm so grateful for it.
Oh, I'm such a happier human.
I know, me too.
So grateful.
It wasn't, I mean, it was me. I had as much to do with that as anybody, you know.
Well, we're just all humans.
Yeah, we are.
I loved these bombs.
Me too.
Truth bombs.
Yeah.
Do not ignore those red flags. Do not ignore things that you should see when you're dating.
Yeah.
You don't want to get divorced.
No, you don't.
All right. Y'all have an amazing week. And until next time, enjoy your remedies.
Thank you for listening.